Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Films and Stuff podcast. I'm Ethan, joined as always by MV Pete, Most Valuable Pete. Hey, Pete, how are you this morning?
I am great, buddy. How are you?
Well, I'm pretty good, and I'm pretty excited to jump into it because we've kind of got a double episode today, let's say. The first part of the episode is going to be our weekly stream or skip segment. And then I think we've got a bonus because you have been to the cinema and you have finally seen Project Hail Mary. Before we get there, let's go through the rules of stream or skip, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So Ethan and I have prepared lists of TV shows for each other to watch. Every week, we randomly assign each other one of those shows. We watch 30 minutes if it's a feature-length program or 2 episodes if it's a series. And on that basis, we determine if that show is worthy of being streamed or skipped.
Without further ado, what was your assignment this week?
I had a show on Peacock called All Her Fault.
Oh, yeah.
This is a drama, but I really think of it as a thriller. It stars Sarah Snook. Now, Sarah Snook, most people will remember from Succession.
I do.
As Shiv.
Yep.
So, Sarah Snook is a mom of a son, and she has a very high-pressure job. She's like one of those... She's been portrayed as one of those people that is very busy all the time and is like a very successful career businesswoman.
Yep.
Right? The episode starts off, or the show starts off with her going to a person's house to pick up her son from a play date.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out her son is not at that play date or at that house. And she thinks there's some confusion. She calls around. She calls the other moms in that school. And then she finds out that there was no play date. She was sent a text message from another mom or someone posing as this other mom. And the kid is actually kidnapped. And the other mom is played by Dakota Fanning. So yeah. It looks like Dakota Fanning's nanny is the one who took her kid, or she's the one who's heavily implicated. I'm not sure. I only saw 2 episodes. At the end of the second episode, they do this thing where they kind of play with time. So the first episode starts on day 0, as it were, of the investigation. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of flash forward, and you see the detectives who are looking at the investigation board at the police precinct. And it says day 29. And so they're clearly like, okay, so they still haven't figured it out, but it's heavily implied that there's a murder, which means, is the son still alive? Is the son dead? If the son is still alive, then who is the one who's dead?
How many episodes did you watch? Only 2? All right. Spoiler alert. I watched the whole thing.
Oh! Let me cut to the chase before you give your 2 cents.
Yeah.
This is a strong mooch and almost a must subscribe. It's not my kind of mystery. It's really dark because, of course, again, you're dealing with a missing child. And then, of course, you have the family tension at home. The husband blames the wife, right? Because naturally she was the one supposed to have organized this play date. She dropped the ball. She just believed any random text. She didn't do any double checking with the parents in advance. And she just assumed that everything was fine because she got a text message. It's very dark. It's very suspenseful. And this is the kind of show you need to be in the right frame of mind to watch and really enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I think that if you're the type of person who likes true crime podcasts, this is right up your alley.
Oh, that's a very good observation. I agree.
I never saw it, but I feel like this is similar in vein to The Staircase on HBO, remember? You saw that?
Yeah. So I appreciate that your perspective. I think it's because I did watch the whole thing, I think just by, I don't want to say like by coincidence, but I was like in the gym and like getting my steps in, and I saw it was available on my local network, and I just like ripped through it. A lot of the things you said, I think, resonate with me as well, and I think you put it into good context. I think this is, by definition, a mooch. This is like a one-off series, and I think it's really hard for a series like that, that's kind of like this crime mystery, to be a must-subscribe. And I think this one was done exceptionally well from all aspects. A show like this, again, very, very well done. I just don't think that it has enough like water cooler-ness to really be a must-subscribe. I don't think that they can make it any better. If they came to me and said, well, how can we make it better? I don't think that you can. I just think by definition, it's a crime thriller. There's nothing that I'm like, I've got to see this so I can talk about it with all my friends, or, you know, what am I missing kind of thing. So I agree with your assessment. I think it's very well done. I don't feel like anyone in the show, to be honest, gave me a really great master class in acting. I agree that I think this is definitely a mooch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's right.
All right. So that is All Her Fault on Peacock. I had to watch something called DTF St. Louis, which is on HBO Max. And I chose it because it stars Jason Bateman, who, as listeners know, I just love Jason Bateman, all the way back from, I guess, Arrested Development. It also has David Harbour, and you know how I feel about David Harbour as well. It is, I mean, St. Louis is obviously the U.S. city. DTF, the F is something that we can't say on the air, or at least we don't. I think everyone can kind of figure that out, and if you can't, don't worry about it. It's not so different from All Her Fault in terms of genre. It depicts a love triangle. David Harbour, Cardellini, who plays David Harbour's wife, and Jason Bateman. David Harbour's character is murdered, and then it kind of turns into, again, a whodunit. So again, not dramatically different from a genre perspective from All Her Fault. I would say one major difference is All Her Fault has a lot of characters. DTF St. Louis, 3. Jason Bateman's character has a wife and a daughter. You see very, very little of them. Harbour and his wife's characters have a son who's a little bit more prominent. There's 2 detectives, but you don't get into their personal lives at all. So it's really centered around these 3. And I'll give you the high-level summary. So Jason Bateman, his character is a weatherman in St. Louis. You know, he does the evening news and the weather. He meets Harbour because Harbour's character does sign language. So he's hired by the studio to stand next to Jason Bateman and do sign language for the weather. And these 2 strike up a friendship. And I have to say, they've got a really, really good chemistry. I'm not sure if they know each other in like the real world or what their deal is, but they've got a good chemistry. And they've got just this very deep, sincere, a little bit strange, but a true, true friendship, you know? Bateman starts an affair with Harbour's wife. And she's a little bit manipulative, where she kind of wants more than Harbour's character is able to give her. Bateman, who's kind of a mini celebrity, you know, doing the news in St. Louis, kind of gives her, you know, that larger platform. And then Harbour's character dies or is murdered. And then there's kind of suspicion in terms of, you know, who did it. And they each, you know, have their kind of motives, and then it kind of bounces back and forth in terms of who did it. I liked it. It's not a must subscribe, for the same reasons that I talked about, you know, with All Her Fault. But it's got the same very positive vibes that All Her Fault has. Maybe not positive in terms of it's a dark murder series, but the acting is fantastic. Interesting to see Jason Bateman's character. Usually he's kind of that sarcastic guy. You've seen him like in Ozark, right? Here he's not. He's plays a straight down the middle. I wouldn't call him a loser, but like he's a very, very basic, keeps to himself, not arrogant, not pompous, not flashy or showy. Like what you would expect a weatherman to be, down to earth, kind of. Harbour's character, again, doesn't flash any of his, wit or charisma. He's just a hardworking, really nice, decent guy, focused on sign language and some other things. I watched 3 episodes, and I have nothing but positive things to say about it. Like the characters, like the story, good suspicion. I'm sure there's going to be some twists and turns, and it's not going to be a gasp, oh, I never saw that kind of coming thing, but I think it's very solid, and for that reason, I give it a mooch.
Okay.
That is all her fault. That is DTF St. Louis.
Okay,
right.
So before we get into Hail Mary, let's just give the assignments for next week.
Let's do that.
All right, next week you are on HBO Max watching a new show called Rooster, starring Steve Carell.
Can't wait to watch The Rooster.
And I am on Amazon Prime watching a new show called 56 Days.
Ooh, okay. Now, shall we dive into Project Hail Mary?
Yeah. So I saw it finally. It finally came out for me.
You read the book.
Yeah.
I saw the movie first. And then last week we did this thing where I said, and I give all credit to me. Usually I'm humble. This time I'm not. Because I said, hey, you read the book and you know the character Rocky, right? Which if you haven't seen the book or the movie, Rocky is kind of like the alien playing the counterpart to Ryan Gosling.
Yep.
Yeah. So I said, you read the book. So in your head, you've got an idea of what Rocky the alien looks like. I saw the movie, so I know what Rocky the alien looks like. You tell me what you think he looks like, and let's kind of compare notes and see if it's similar. We did, and I said yes and no. Now you saw it. What was your impression of how Rocky looked compared to what you had in your head?
Yeah, I mean, my drawing skills are absolutely horrible, but not 100% dissimilar.
Yeah. Yours was, I would think, a little bit more huggable.
Yeah,
like more of
like a wireframe drawing of a Disney version of him.
Yeah, it could be made, something that could be made into a stuffed animal.
Yeah.
Whereas the version in the movie is kind of like, not ugly or grotesque, but not really like furry and huggable.
I mean, for context, for those who haven't seen it, again, first of all, spoiler alert. Second of all, think of a spider, but the Thing from Fantastic Four, the Thing version of the spider.
The Thing is, I think, a very, very good analogy, right? Were you happy or not happy with how they depicted Rocky?
I was quite pleased. I really liked it. I thought it was good. I think where you and I differ is I thought the humor landed. I think the humor landed a lot. I don't know, maybe if it was also the cinema experience. So I went, it was an 8 p.m. show, and I had the same options you. I either sat in the front row or I sat between 2 pairs of couples.
Which one did you choose?
Oh, you bet your ass I chose to sit between 2 pairs of couples. I was 100% ready to hold hands on either side.
Were you like offering everyone like your popcorn and your...
and giving them little nudges and laughing.
Are you going to finish that?
Yeah.
So did you like the movie? You liked the book more, but did you like the movie?
I did like the movie. In fact, I liked it a lot.
And what did you think of Ryan Gosling and his portrayal of this character?
Very accurate. Very accurate, because he was... I understand what you're saying. There were definitely moments where he seemed like he was a little maybe goofy.
Yeah.
But having thought back about the book, I think that's exactly the right thing, because he was that kind of guy. He was not a serious kid. He was a guy similar to Matt Damon, very capable guy, not very serious put into a very serious situation.
I can get behind that, but here's where I thought it went a little bit too far. I could get behind him being a little bit goofy. That's endearing. Remember, there was a scene where he's like wearing sunglasses and like this weird like knit cap. Like, I thought that went too far. First of all, I don't know why there's sunglasses on this ship. Like, that doesn't seem necessary. Like, I thought that scene where he was just kind of like, looked like this drugged out surfer or like surfer recovering from a hangover. I thought that was too much. Like, he definitely could have been quirky but I thought that scene was a little bit too much. And I have to say, like, it took me some time to recover from that scene. I didn't like that at all.
Okay.
But anyway, that's a minor point. But you liked him generally as a character.
I liked him generally. I thought he did a great job. I thought the movie was maybe 20 minutes too long. But it was fine. I wasn't, bored at any point, but I just thought, okay, this is, I think, the problem with doing a movie version of a book, is you have to choose what parts to strip away and what not to strip away. And what's funny is there were moments in the book that I remember very clearly that they stripped away and vice versa. That they didn't strip away. So I was quite impressed with that. I think Andy Weir's got the right idea, so he wrote the book, and I think he also wrote this movie, or at least was a contributor to the movie.
Is there anything dramatically added or not included that you would tell me
nothing
about?
Dramatic. Certainly nothing dramatic. There's definitely less science in this movie than there was in The Martian. I think The Martian was a little bit more, I don't want to say science accurate, but it was a little bit more focused on explaining the science to your lay person, like how he was creating water out of nothing and using fire and so forth.
Right.
That was less here.
Mm-hmm.
That was done a lot less here.
True.
But other than that, I thought it was very good. I really enjoyed it. I think the crowd loved it. Everyone was laughing. Everyone was. There were moments where there were audible gasps in the crowd when Rocky gets hurt.
Yeah.
And there were just things like, oh, it's so cute. Like, they were really, the crowd got behind Rocky. Like, big time. And for, I don't want to say a cuddly, but I don't want to say he was super scary, but for a relatively scary looking alien, they did their best to make him not look super scary, but he's still a 5-legged arachnid rock monster.
Yeah.
He still garnered a lot of sympathy in my cinema.
Yeah. I think he was definitely a star. I think the chemistry, if you can say it, between Gosling and Rocky as a character was done extremely well, right? Yeah. You really felt like they had this kind of like, they had a very good relationship where they sincerely cared about each other. But at the same time, you could see like there was like some funny moments where, Gosling is a little bit annoyed by him and stuff like that. I thought that relationship was delicate and done extraordinarily well. And I think I said last time, like, I love the movie. I definitely think it's something that you should see in cinemas. I don't know if it's as, like, if they came on again in 1 year and I had to choose between The Martian and Project Hail Mary, I mean, I'm going to caveat this, but say, I would rather watch The Martian, but to be honest, I've watched The Martian several times. So for that reason, I'd probably see Project Hail Mary instead.
Yeah.
But just in terms of which I think is more rewatchable, I think it's The Martian. But definitely Project Hail Mary is very, very solid movie.
I mean, that's an interesting comparison. So I agree with you. I think The Martian was a better film.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of like blockbuster ability, if that's even a word, I think Project Hail Mary is far superior. It had much better VFX because, of course, it's Mars versus a random space alien world. It had a second companion, which is an alien. It had amazing effects, not just the ship, but like, the infrared, the the scene where
Yeah.
they're collecting the slime.
When he's outside and you see like that green background,
Yeah, exactly.
like that's an amazing shot. Like you have to see that in a cinema. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that sequence on its own, even though it's not like crazy exciting, of course it is tense. I would say that sequence on its own is almost worth the price of admission.
You know, what Damon doesn't have in The Martian, he's by himself. And I think there's a lot of sympathy for someone who's like, man, I gotta stay sane by myself. And I think they do a great job with him and the camera.
Yes.
Like, you know, to kind of like explain things, like why he's actually talking, because otherwise that could have been a silent movie. Right? But I mean, the idea that he's talking out loud, keeping like a video log, I think saved it. There's no strong emotion in that movie, maybe until the end when he like jumps out of the capsule and I can't remember who the commander is, Jessica Chastain maybe, kind of like catches him.
Yeah.
That's a very emotional sequence, but apart from that, there's really not a lot of human emotion in this movie. You know, like they kind of show the crew like, no, we got to go save him. But like, you don't really feel a lot of emotion in that movie until that one kind of scene. Whereas I think in Project Hail Mary, there's a little bit more emotion throughout that movie. And that interaction between Rocky and Gosling, I think, is much different than in The Martian. Mm-hmm. Both fantastic movies. And like I said, I mean, I think I said it last week, like definitely you should go see this in cinemas. Absolutely worth it. I loved the movie. I do have a few complaints, but I mean, generally I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. I highly agree. This is definitely a must watch in cinema. I know for some of you it may be a week late, but I reaffirm Ethan's assessment from last week. You have to watch it if you can on IMAX, especially. I saw it on an IMAX screen. Totally worth it.
All right. So we gave our assignments for Stream or Skip next week. We've got a little bit of a rundown of what's coming out in cinemas. Pete, before we sign off, you want to give everyone our social media, YouTube cred, jazz, and stuff like that?
Absolutely. Leave a comment below, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to hit that notification bell so that you know when the next episode of the Films and Stuff podcast drops for you.
Listeners, thank you for joining us. Pete, thanks as always for your contributions. We shall see you all next week, next episode, Films and Stuff podcast. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.